In 1990, the lovely game publisher we know as Nintendo hosted an event called the Nintendo World Championships. Players who competed and won in one of the 29 individual city championships across the United States qualified to face off against one another in various customized versions of Rad Racer, Tetris, and of course Super Mario Bros. 25 years later, Nintendo decided that it was time to bring the competition back, this time splitting the contestants between 8 qualifiers and 8 players personally invited by Nintendo. Combating their way through Splatoon, Zelda 1, Blast Ball, Super Metroid, Mario Kart 8, Balloon Fight, and finally Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, it came down to 2 players in the grand final match. On one side, professional speedrunner and overall good, fast video game player, Cosmo Wright. And on the other, Best Buy qualifier and as far as I can find, a humble competitive Smash 4 player, John Numbers. You might be wondering what the heck this has to do with level design. Well, don't worry, we're getting there. The final challenge pit these 2 fierce competitors against each other at custom stages made in the new title, Super Mario Maker, a huge level designer tool that includes several different engines from various Mario titles across the years. Nintendo brought out the designers of the levels, Morgan and Eric, to help commentate while contestants ran through the levels. With 4 levels total, both John and Cosmo had to run through each stage blind while the others sat out. Whoever progressed further in each of the first 3 stages got a 15-second head start in the final round. What I want to talk about is how the first 3 stages were very specifically designed to hit a few different key purposes all at the same time. Level design can do more than just teach a player what they need to do. In fact, it can be used to inspire a myriad of feelings. Not just from the player, but also from a spectator. These levels are very unique in the role that they played, not only in the Nintendo World Championships, but also as a marketing tool for Super Mario Maker. Let's dive in and I'll show you. In level 1, we had our dearest Cosmo take the first run. Right off the bat, for a few seconds, you can see it looks a whole lot like World 1-1 from the original Super Mario Bros., and this is of course a move to inspire some spectacle. They crafted a familiar looking area that we're all used to before breaking all conventions and tossing a huge row of revolving fireball walls in front of Cosmo. He caught on quickly and went down the pipe. This is the first taste of what is to come. Territory that we all know and love, and then just a sudden and ridiculous spike of WTF meant to jostle everybody around and provide some laughs. Again, let me quickly remind you, the goal here is spectacle. A seasoned player of video games gets stopped in his tracks by something somewhat laughable. And did we all laugh? I mean, I know I did, so let's move forward. Dropping down into another 1-1 parallel, things get into what makes Super Mario Maker so special. Just look at this. Coins? Mushrooms? No, just giant bob-ombs instead. Previous enemies turn into stacks of Hammer Bros topped with bloopers. This is a great showcase of the very unique capabilities of this game. This section is meant to be deliberately overwhelming. Knowing Super Mario Bros. Gives us all the predisposition of knowing how enemies work within the game, and this breaks all those conventions. From shock value, this leaves a lasting impression that people will remember and be talking about. Marketing. Let's talk about John's experience a bit. See, Cosmo didn't make it too far past that and got stuck on this particular part, and I think I can attribute that to his speedrunning trained mind. As you can see, he sort of gets locked into this concept of going up and around the saw blade and finding a not so straightforward path, which ultimately lost him the round because he was thinking a few steps too far ahead for his own good. John, on the other hand, played a pivotal role in showing off the main course of the first stage. When he comes to the conveyor belts, he treks in on foot to scout ahead a little bit and then ends up identifying the platform's pattern. Out of nowhere, he executes an incredibly flashy series of boosted jumps through a ton of obstacles, and honestly, just watch the clip with audio for a second.
Really, just don't go over there. You don't. Don't go.
There we go. Oh, we're on to something here, baby.
John Numbers climbing. Oh,
Just listen to that. That is the sound of thousands of people feeling firsthand what type of emotions Super Mario Maker has the potential to inspire. That is powerful. Level 2 has John starting off, and in one run he almost takes the whole thing. Right off the bat, we get this cool new clown copter to work with, functioning similar to the Lakitu Cloud, but obviously more styling. Taking off skyward, John activates the bullseye bills located there, showing us a special enemy type native to Mario Maker. The bullets chase him closely as he traverses fire, giant moles, and eventually manages to shimmy through a tight knot of enemies, much to the crowd's approval. Tough sections like this were meant for skilled players like John and Cosmo, who also deftly handled the same group, and really helped to build up the hype mid-level. On the other side of the pipe, John drops down and immediately charges forward to hit a question mark hitbox only to be ambushed by a huge ring of boos. He moves forward and tries the next one to find a big ring of winged boos for a redoubled reaction before pushing on. I know I've said it before, but these are elements of pure spectacle. John escapes unharmed, and you can even see the boos have a delay before their hitboxes are active, but the dirty back-to-back tricks had the crowd swelling with shouts and cheers and overwhelmed excitement. Before John eventually ends his run, he manages to trigger one last thing that Cosmo wasn't able to show off when he took on the level. Skipping ahead to the end, he has some trouble with these boot and saw blade segments, but eventually ends up in the double-sized boot on his way to the finish. While everybody is already cheering him on, he jumps into the clown copter without hesitation and...
He's on the move. He's on the move right now.
Bootception. That just
So much confusion, so many minds blown as Fireball Mario in a giant healed boot makes the clown copter explode in size and he rains fire down upon walls of enemies. Unfortunately, he just wasn't fast enough, but the job was done, and now the one thing on everybody's mind is, what does that even mean? How does the boot affect the clown copter? How does the size affect it? So many possibilities. So I'm gonna jump ahead a bit. Cosmo's run of level 2 was clean and solid, and you know what? He straight up bossed it and won. But we're gonna jump into what level 3 had in store for him. Level 3 is something you'd find in a ROM hack, and before you say, well, isn't all of this? I mean, seriously, this is Super Mario World and it's a crazy door maze. This is a tip of the hat to those hardcore Kaizo Mario fans. The doors are numbered with coins, and Cosmo dutifully cycled through all of them 1 through 4, you know, what the designers intended, the showy way. The first door is a nail-biting trap that leaves a dozen giant spinies waiting above him to drop when the P-block timer runs out. He managed to escape at the last second as everybody shifted to the edge of their seat, and I don't think I have to tell you that this was entirely intentional. Door 2 was a reset to the start. Standard procedure. Dropping in from door 3, Cosmo hits a giant shell off to the left, and as he runs to the right, a wall of bullets fires towards him. Now let's take a second to appreciate this. Cosmo was supposed to follow the shell, but he went against the grain just for a moment. He was supposed to outrun the bullets, like he does in a later run, but the designers threw a 2x2 gap a little to the left of the spawn that provides just enough room for him to have a second chance at surviving, which he does with flying colors. He shows off his quick thinking skills, and the crowd gets rowdy for a moment. Genius. The next bit, yet again, I don't feel like I need to stress the word spectacle anymore. The previous level taught us all to fear the orange bullet bill cannons, and it's really hard to process at the moment that they're harmlessly firing springboards. So this part looks crazy dangerous when in reality there's no danger of dying at all. Are you seeing the running theme here? So here's a few more cool things about Cosmo's run before we move on. He figures out the vine and bullet puzzle to jump to the next area, and the crowd and commentators get scared that he'll die to the wigglers here, but there are too many of them to allow any room for Mario to fall in between and take a hit, so he just bounces harmlessly on top. It's similar to a magic trick in how it provides the illusion of danger when really there isn't any at all. And on the next platform up, there's a coin block that literally has the sole purpose of making Cosmo take some time to position and jump to hit it, just as the flying Buzzy Beetles are shot out of the cannons here. This puts him pixels from death, but completely safe. The same magic trick, used twice in a row. Brilliant. As he drops out of the pipe, one of the designers gives us a suspenseful, but wait, and then we see the second half of our door maze. Doors 5 through 8. The resounding "oh no" from the crowd was plenty to show that this level is working exactly as intended. Cosmo dutifully tries the doors in order again, and door 5 gives everybody a huge scare right off the bat. He heads through door 6, which happens to be the correct way through, and proceeds to solve his way to this elevator. This is another grand setup for a new Mario Maker mechanic. He sets up to get on the elevator by grabbing the fire flower, and as he nears the spiny shell, he ducks, maybe out of self-defense or just reflexively, but instead of taking a hit like most of us assumed would happen, the shell becomes a spiked helmet and he charges off into a thwomp maze. The crowd is going nuts as Super Mario Maker shows off its capabilities to host tons of things going on screen without any of the lag we would have seen in the original Mario world. Cosmo zigs and zags, and at the last second we get to see a thwomp just bounce off of his helmet like it was nothing, because that's cool and that's what they wanted to show us. Even the commentators are cheering at this point. He messes up a little bit on the Beetles and has to take an alternate path, which seems fine for a moment before a giant wall of fireballs enters the screen. Cosmo takes a hit but manages to escape and finish the level, and the audience roars with approval, leaving only John's run before the final showdown. John managed to hit the second set of doors pretty quickly, and luckily decided to take the doors in an odd order to show us the silliness behind numbers 7 and 8. The last thing he does that Cosmo managed to skip is show off this little dicey part of spin jumping over the grinders down here, leaving us all biting our nails for just a moment. These levels were so obviously crafted with purpose, and it's really cool to have an archived piece of their history that we can go back to and watch the design unfold and fulfill its purpose right before the eyes of thousands of people. I know I've said the word marketing a lot in this video, but I don't want it to seem like I'm saying it with a negative connotation. Marketing isn't inherently bad, and I think it's a testament to Super Mario Maker's solidarity as a creation game that I find no problem singing the praises of their marketing. Nintendo World Championships 2015 brought us a wonderful display of game design know-how that was crafted to make all of us want to create levels and share them with friends. I know, at least from a personal standpoint, I can't wait to have the experience of working on a map to give to all of my friends and see my handiwork in action. This is yet another testament to the mindset of Nintendo. While they may not hit every single mark, they really do get it when it comes to the philosophy of games being fun and bringing us all together. So much so that in an event that one could easily dismiss as a means to hype up new merchandise, I felt closer to my fellow gamers than I have in a long time. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more in the future. If you want to support the show, consider checking out my Patreon. You can see the names of some of my lovely patrons on screen right now. Big thanks to you guys. And an extra special thanks to Tess Young for inspiring this episode. If you want more right now, why not try this episode on Wings of V? And if you're looking for something different, click here to head over to my gameplay channel. This has been Sunder, and I'll see you next time.